Ford has been making a ton of changes to their entire lineup for the 2020 model year. Pretty much everything they offer now has been redesigned and refreshed with the updated modern styling that we all love and deserve. And one of the biggest changes they've made to their lineup involves this 2020 Ford Escape. And you might not recognize it, but this model was produced in 2019, just with a completely different, outdated look. Well, now they've come back to the drawing board and given us a fantastic, redesigned and refreshed 2020 Ford Escape. And I gotta say, I am pretty impressed with what they're offering at this price. It costs just around $25,000, and for that price you get a very clean exterior, a nice technologically updated interior, and a variety of different optional powertrains. So in today's video, we're going to discuss all the different available options and features on this 2020 Escape, as well as whether or not I think you should get one. So stick around till the end, because we've got a lot to talk about in today's review. Now, if you paid attention to this review at all up to this point, probably the most obvious thing you've noticed that's changed for 2020 is the exterior design. It's been given a completely fresh and new look with modern styling and a very minimalist design. It is somewhat controversial. I will admit it looks a little bit like an obese Fiesta, but at the end of the day, I think it's pretty cool simply because it's hard to hate a car that looks so dang happy. That's right. To me, that front grille looks exactly like a smiley face. It's got nice gloss black accents all throughout it, and I believe it actually has an active aero function where it has vents that can open or close, depending on whether you have aerodynamic means for fuel economy or if you need to cool that powertrain, which we're going to be taking a look at in just a minute. Now, like I said, it's a pretty clean, minimalist, modern design, so there aren't a ton of features to go over, but there are a few nice touches here and there, such as these gorgeous chrome accented, kind of oval, feminine shaped headlights. Again, it just kind of accentuates that happy look on the front end of this car, and they also are available with LED highlights on the upper trim levels. Now, moving along to the side of the car, we've got, again, a very clean design, standard with 17-inch silver wheels as seen on this model, and some pretty subtle mud guards around the car just to protect that white paint from rock chips and things like that. My one complaint about the side of the car unfortunately comes in with the trim around it. As you can see up above the window, it's got nice chrome trim, but beneath it's kind of this plain, you know, black rubbery type thing. And I guess that's there to help keep water out of the interior and everything, but I feel like they could have engineered some way to bring the chrome accent pieces down beneath the window as well. But that is a very small complaint, obviously extremely easy to overlook, especially at a price point of around $25,000 for the base model, so I think it can be forgiven at the end of the day. Now, finishing off the design of the car in the rear, it's actually not quite as different as the rest of the car is. It is fairly similar to the previous 2019 Escapes, but it has been refreshed just a bit. It's got some new taillights, which to me look very similar to the new Toyota Rav4. I don't think that's intentional, but it's not necessarily a bad look. It's also got a standard manual tailgate, so you do actually have a latch to pull open rather than just a sensor to wave your foot under or a button to press. Again, a little bit disappointing that it's not automatic, but again, $25,000, I'm gonna take what I can get, and I think they did a pretty good job. But that just about covers the exterior, so let's hop in the interior and see what's new in there. Now, a clean minimalist design may be something that I love on the exterior of a car like this, but in the interior it's a little bit of a different case, because this is where you're spending the majority of your time, so I feel like the overall aesthetic of it isn't nearly as important as the practicality. So with an exterior, it's perfectly alright to have basically no features, just a smooth, clean design, because you want it to look good. But the interior, you want it to function and be practical for everyday use, rather than looking like it came off of a showroom. And to me, they kind of have found a pretty good balance of the look and the features, but I feel like it could give a little bit more, especially in a base model like this one. There's just not quite as much features and technologies as I was hoping. You could get a little bit more out of your $25,000 over at Hyundai or Kia or even Mazda. But overall, they have laid out a fairly ergonomic design here with a decent amount of new technologies, and I'd like to start that off with the seat design and the different materials they've used. So obviously the base model, you're just getting this kind of rubbery urethane type material on the steering wheel and the armrest, as well as cloth kind of diamond pattern seats. So there's nothing too nice, but if you do pay extra to upgrade to a different trim level, Obviously, that's where you're gonna get leather wrapped steering wheel, leather armrest, and some nicer seats with, I believe, 10-way power adjustments, as opposed to the 6-way manual adjustments here in the base model. So they do offer a variety of different things depending on what trim level you're paying for, and that is pretty nice to see. And they've also done a pretty good job with the new technology in the 2020 Escape. They've upgraded both the infotainment system, and the gauge cluster is now available as a 12.3-inch digital display. Again, that's up in the upper tier trim level, so you're not going to see that in a base model like this. But they do offer it as an option. And the infotainment system is going to be pretty standard across the entire 2020 Escape lineup, and I must say they've done a great job redesigning it. It's still got those classic Ford colors where we've got the dark blue and the light gray, and it looks very aesthetically pleasing, but it's also functional as well. Very clear graphics, not difficult to see in the sun or in the shade. It does have a small amount of lag to it, and it actually feels a little bit too sensitive once it does start going. But other than that, they've done a fantastic job. And I will say it is a little bit smaller than some other infotainment systems you're going to get in other manufacturers like Hyundai, Kia, Mazda, and other mid-sized SUVs. But the design and the quality of the screen are definitely right up there with the best of them. Moving down from that infotainment system to talk about the center console area, we've got a few classic Ford features in here, including the rotary gear selector we're seeing in almost all their new models, as well as a variety of different cup holders and USB charge ports, so it's nice and easy to plug your phone in this car. And here's where we also see the button to select the different drive modes in this car. There are a few different drive modes that will adjust the throttle sensitivity and maybe the suspension, just a few different features around the car to tune the driving experience. So it comes with a sport mode, a snow mode, and an eco mode, as well as I believe just a normal standard mode for everyday driving. One thing I am going to complain about though is the trim material they used in this interior. Like I said, a great balance of design and features and technology, but the actual accessories around the interior, these little bits of gloss black plastic and the little silver trim pieces, those do feel a little bit cheap to me. And even here on the door panel, they've got this kind of hard rubbery material, and it's just not too pleasing to look at or feel. But again, for under $30,000, they've done a pretty good job with this interior. But now let's go ahead and check out the rear seats of this car and see if it's actually usable and practical. Hey, so once again, Ford has impressed me with the quality and design of the rear seats. I was expecting, the bare minimum back here, but they've actually gone out of their way to provide, most of the same features the front seats get, although obviously there is a lot less legroom for your passengers back here. Although thanks to that wonderful indentation in the back of the seats, even though I'm over 6 foot, it's still pretty comfortable and I can actually stretch out just a little bit, although not too much. They've also included more climate vents back here for the rear seat passengers. I am thankful for that because some manufacturers aren't doing that. They're just leaving the rear seat passengers to toast in the hot sun. So that is nice to have, as well as a 12-volt power outlet, which to me just goes above and beyond the expected. I'm not sure if that's an optional feature, but I was expecting nothing back here. So it is nice that they do have a little bit of power. Now, where the rear seats are pretty impressive for what I was expecting, the trunk, well, it's not the best. It's got a pretty low roof thanks to that wonderful sloping roof line on the exterior, and that means there is not a ton of space back there. But again, if you have a smaller car like this, you probably have a smaller family as well and don't need to do quite as much grocery shopping, and you should be able to get by with the trunk space they've provided in this car, hopefully. Now, if you've been watching this far into the review, then congratulations. You get treated to a view under the hood of the 2020 Escape. Now, I've been reviewing cars for almost 4 years now, and one trend that I've noticed very prominently is that manufacturers are starting to offer more and more powertrain options with their cars. So it used to be that when you came to a dealership and you wanted a specific car, you got it with a specific engine. If you didn't like that engine, too bad, you had to go somewhere else because that was it. Well, things are a lot different nowadays. It's 2020, and for the Ford Escape in this model year, Ford offers it with not one engine, but 3 different engines, as well as a variety of different combinations with the powertrain. So you can get it with the standard 8-speed automatic and either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. The base model comes with a 1.5-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, but they also offer a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder engine. And if you want a little bit more power and you aren't so concerned about fuel economy, they also offer a somewhat sportier 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. And honestly, that might not even be it. It's very early on in this generation of Escape. A lot of times manufacturers will continue to add on engine options as the model life continues. So I can't wait to see what different options Ford may offer in the future with this Escape. But even if they don't add anything, the 3 options they offer are pretty nice. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that quick review of the 2020 Ford Escape. And if you did, I'd suggest maybe leaving a comment down below about what you think of this new car, and also checking out some of the videos I put on the screen right there for similar cars. I'd also like to send a huge shout out to the Ford dealership for allowing me to review this car today. I'll leave a link to their inventory below. And as always, thank you so much for watching.